I could hardly wrap my head around the sheer amount of time and energy I had poured into organizing my wife's birthday celebration. From the first spark of the idea to the final detail, it had all been mine. Every penny spent, every sleepless night planning, every tiny choice made with her in mind. I envisioned a flawless evening for the woman I'd been married to for 4 years, the woman who had become the center of my world. The venue I chose was stunning, a rooftop in the heart of downtown, offering a dazzling view of the city skyline. I spared no expense, commissioning a towering 5-layer cake that blended her 2 favorite flavors, rich chocolate and smooth vanilla. I even added a champagne tower, with crystal-clear glasses stacked like a dream under the fairy lights I paid extra to have strung up. Exotic blooms, flowers she had once described as a dream wedding bouquet, had been imported from different corners of the globe. Yes, it cost a fortune, but I didn't care. The night was meant to make her feel cherished, like the star she was supposed to be. Dressed in my best suit, I watched her from across the room as she laughed and mingled with the 60 guests, friends, family, and familiar faces we had known for years. She looked radiant in the dress we had chosen together months earlier, her hair glinting under the warm glow of the lights. I was exhausted, but proud. This, I thought, were the essence of marriage, devotion, effort, and making her happiness my mission. Then she stepped up to the microphone. I expected a sweet toast, a few grateful words about the night, or maybe a heartfelt thank you. Instead, she raised her glass and began speaking about someone else, Damon Rivera. She called him her guiding light, the person who had stood by her through life's roughest patches. I stood motionless, a frozen smile plastered on my face, as something inside me quietly fractured. Damon, the colleague she had mentioned in passing more than once, always in a light, dismissive tone. Suddenly, his name filled the air of a party I had planned. A knot twisted in my chest. I kept hoping she'd shift her focus to me, offer even a passing acknowledgement. But she didn't. Instead, she turned toward me with a smirk, the kind people make when they're about to share something cheeky. She handed me a small gift bag. "For you, sweetheart," she said in a playful tone that made everyone chuckle. I reached inside, expecting something simple, maybe a watch or a tie. Instead, I pulled out a neatly folded designer T-shirt. I held it up to read the bold white letters across the front. Divorced. Silence fell over the crowd for a beat. Then came a few awkward laughs, scattered like broken glass. She grinned, as if she had just landed a punchline on a stand-up stage. My hands trembled. I stared at the word, the joke, the gut punch disguised as a gag gift. After everything I'd done, 4 years of marriage, the sacrifices, the stress, the effort, it all came down to this? A shirt meant to humiliate me in front of everyone? My throat felt raw. I could feel the weight of dozens of eyes watching me, waiting to see how I'd respond. I could have erupted, thrown the shirt back at her, stormed out, but I didn't. Instead, I calmly set the gift bag down on a nearby table. I reached into my coat pocket and retrieved the real birthday present I had bought her, a Cartier bracelet, elegant and understated, gold and gleaming. I had saved up for it quietly, imagining how much she'd love it. I placed it next to the cake where everyone could see and, without a word, turned and walked away. The cold night air hit me like a slap, sharp and bracing. I kept walking. The music, the chatter, the clinking of glasses, all of it faded behind me like static. My footsteps echoed on the pavement, each one louder in my mind than the last. My chest pounded like a war drum. I didn't know where I was headed. I just knew I couldn't go back. Not to her. Not to any of it. That T-shirt hadn't been a joke. It was a declaration, a message wrapped in cruelty. And I refused to stand there pretending it was all in good fun, pretending I wasn't breaking inside. I had started to rebuild myself lately. My work managing session, Omar's startup, had given me purpose again. I felt more grounded than I had in years. If she was coming apart now, that was a burden to carry. An hour later, Mark texted me. Damon quit. She's panicking at the office. Her so-called guiding light, gone. Mark didn't know the full story, and honestly, neither did I, but I could see the collapse starting. She had wrapped her identity around him, leaned on him for strength, and now that he was out of the picture, her foundation was crumbling. I didn't feel victorious, but I didn't feel pity either. Whatever connection we'd had was in the past, and I'd left it there. My focus was elsewhere now, on my work. I stared at my spreadsheet, numbers swimming slightly before I blinked and pulled myself back. Work kept me steady. It gave me direction. The next afternoon, my phone buzzed. Lisa, someone from her circle, close to my ex, but still occasionally in touch with me. I almost didn't answer. When I did, her voice wavered at first, unsure if I'd even care about what she had to say. She started telling me about a podcast my ex had recently launched. Apparently, it crashed and burned after one episode. Reviews were brutal. I was driving as she spoke, headlights and taillights streaking across the windshield like smeared paint. I kept my responses brief. A few uninterested hums. Let her talk. Lisa went on to say my ex had been posting on social media again, scrambling to rebuild her audience. But it wasn't going well. People were still bringing up that party. The t-shirt. The spectacle. My hands tightened on the wheel. That damn t-shirt. I didn't interrupt. I let Lisa talk until her voice eventually trailed off into silence. I thanked her, just out of courtesy, and ended the call. I didn't need to hear more. I already knew what was happening. She was falling apart, piece by piece. It didn't surprise me. She was always graceful when things were easy, when people like me were holding her up. But without those hands beneath her, she had no idea how to keep herself standing. Meanwhile, everything in my world was gaining momentum. About a week later, Gregory called me into his office. He slid a printed form across the desk with a smile. "You're speaking at next month's business conference," he said. It was a respected local event, and I was personally requested by Nate. He laughed when he saw my reaction. "Yeah, people are paying attention. You've been killing it lately." As I walked out of his office, something lifted in me. It wasn't a massive crowd or a national seminar, but it was mine. It was earned. And then came the real shift. I got an email from someone I had met years ago at a networking event, an academic, respected in the business world. He was organizing a conference in Dubai and wanted me to guest lecture. "Your name keeps coming up," he wrote. I read it twice, letting the weight of those words settle in. Just a few years ago, I had emptied my bank account to throw her a birthday party. Now I was getting invited to speak halfway across the globe. I replied with a quick and certain yes. That night, I met Sesh and Omar at our usual diner. Their software was still rough around the edges, laggy, inconsistent. But it was evolving. I had invested a decent chunk of savings into their vision, and they didn't forget it. "You're like our secret weapon," Sesh joked, his eyes gleaming. Omar, ever the quiet one, nodded, his gratitude clear even without words. For the first time in a long while, I felt valued, genuinely needed, a far cry from how I felt in that marriage. Back at home, I pinned a Dubai invitation to my vision board, right next to a sketch of the house I'd been dreaming of and a photo of Thailand, my next goal. Each piece of the board was a promise to myself. Running helped too. Every morning, I hit the streets, cold air biting at my lungs, my breath forming clouds in the dawn. I was up to 6 miles now. Leaner, sharper, clearer. She was fading. Her job was shaky, her podcast dead on arrival, her online presence dwindling with every failed post. Meanwhile, I was rising. Seminars, lectures, startups. The spotlight she once owned had shifted, and now it was turning toward me. And I had no reason to turn around. I didn't hate her. In truth, I rarely thought about her at all. But knowing that while she was slipping, I was soaring, that felt fair. That felt like balance restored.